Hey guys, here's the video of how to access the Georgia Milestone resources that we discussed in the family meeting. If you aren't able to attend, this is also your opportunity to see that. The easiest way for you to get to the website is to type in Dr. Seals, Seals, Brockett Elementary. And then when that pops up, you'll see my webpage, and you'll click on it, and it will be there. And you scroll down to the bottom to what's called the symbol. Now, lots of teachers, including myself, have uploaded everything to Seesaw. But if you don't want to go through Seesaw, I'm going to show you how to just get there from any website. So you will click on the gold key and the red square at the bottom, and you will see this blue menu. You will go to end of grade summary tests. You will click to online training tools. You will click on end of grade test practice. Then you will click on standard online tools. And finally, you'll click grades 3 through 5. When you do this, a prompt is going to come up. And right here, it tells you the username and password that you need to type. And that will stay the same no matter what because you are in the practice mode. So you will do Georgia 35. And the password is training. And it is case sensitive. And then you sign in. And you will get to this menu. You will push continue. You'll push grades 3 through 5 test practice. When the test first opens up, these are the rules of how the tools on the test are used. But there's no scoring on this. So if you will just have your kids practice reading these directions, they won't have to read it every day during their test because they'll already be familiar with what the directions say, and they won't get the test burnout before they actually start the test. So you'll click the next button. These are all the tools available to you. Your pointer is your basic cursor. Your flag is if you want to say, hey, I want to come back to this. Let me mark it. And then, of course, the next button. So if you will have your kids, and we've reviewed it in class, so that's the only reason why I'm going fast through this part is because your students should have at least seen it a couple of times at this point of the year. They will get to the point down here with the begin test button. But I caution you to make sure that you kind of remind your kids, when you see the line guide button, when you push the next, everybody freeze. Because you don't want to begin your test until they actually tell you you may begin. If your student, for some reason, begins the test, before time, we have to pause it and we have to write it up as an irregularity. So I'm going to go ahead and click on the begin test button. And so this is a sample reading passage. Just a reminder, this is a grades 3 through 5 test. So they kind of met in the middle with the questionings. But this is a passage that the kids would read. If you come down here to the bottom, you notice it says page 1 through 5. So your kids need to read all the passages, all the pages to the passages, not just that front cover page, because then they might miss out on the answers. But to turn the page, they have touchscreens, so they could actually just like touch it, but my laptop's not touchscreen. So they click here. If they want to go backwards a page, they will come to the left side of the book and they will flip it and it will go back to the previous side. There are different strategies on how to attack milestones. Some say read all the passages first, then go read the questions. Some prefer reading the questions first and then going to the passage. It really just depends on your kids. The only thing that is going to be graded is the answers that you actually select. So one of the tools that they give you is a cross-out tool. And if you mark everything out, but you don't actually fill that circle in, it's going to count it as you didn't answer that question. So We try to get the kids not to use the cross out tools, and just say, I really don't like B. So I just know not to look at B anymore. But again, every kid is different. Maybe your child needs it, maybe not. And so they would pick their answer, whatever their answer is, and then they would push the next button to get to their next question. Up here at the top, it says question 2. This down arrow will let you jump to any question you want on the test. So I'm going to show you a few things. So we are going to actually be jumping to number 4. So here they have to read both answers, and this is where they're going to be writing their writing pieces in. After reading the passage, they have to use details and type the response. If you notice down here, when you're on your screen, it says 0 of 2,000 characters, which means that they can't have more than 2,000 characters. For third graders, we tend not to get to that point, but just so your kid knows, when you do that and you get to that 1,999, when you put that 2,000th character in, it's just going to keep changing. Like, it'll just go J, Y. Even if they're not finished, that's all they're allowed to submit in that box. Okay, so now I'm going to jump to question 8 for you guys. Question 8 is different because it's not a multiple choice question. It is actually a drag and drop. So we want to make sure that the kids practice dragging and dropping. If they don't like that answer that's up there, they push the eraser, they all go away. If they just want one of the choices to go away, then they can just drag it back down. All right. Question 9. This is different because these are drop-down menus. They have to choose the phrase or the word or the number that would complete the sentence. And same thing here. So they won't be able to pick an A, B, or C. They actually have to complete the passage. All right. And now I'm going to jump to question 11. So 11 is our extended responses. So they have a scenario over here that they have to read. They have to type their answer. Based on this answer, then they answer question B. Now in the math section, there is this equation calculator, equation builder up here. So if the kids needed to put 9 times 5, and then they push equals 45, then they can push OK, and then it inserts it. But they also have the ability to put 9 times 5 equals 45 as well. So it kind of just depends on your preference. But up here, you might need to do a division mark for your answer. So that's helpful. Or if you need to make a fraction. So we're doing fractions. So if you needed to do 2 and then come down there fifths. So now that they have a fraction, then you put it in there. So that just takes practice. The kids, of course, are practicing in class, but we want them to at least be familiar so they know, oh, I need to put a division sign. Where do I go? So that they know. Okay? The next question we're going to jump to is 14. Now, 14 is different than what the kids are used to because now they have to drag and drop the shapes to where they go. So let's pretend I put this over here and I said, oh no, wait, it's a rectangle. I'll put it here. But what you don't want the kids to do is push this, because if you push this, everything goes back. So if you make one mistake, just drag it to where you want it to go. If everything is wrong, then you just click that. All right. Our next question we're going to look at is a graphing question. So the white, we are supposed to graph for, so it says 6 were white. So you see that line that's moving up and down? You'll click it and it'll fill in your graph to how you want it to look. And you will do that for each one. And I'm not reading the problems, I'm just showing you how the tools work. All right, so 16. This one is a little bit tricky because you have to create a rectangle that is also a rhombus. And they've already given you a point to start, so you start at the dot. and you click on the line saying you want to draw with it, and you draw a line, and then you draw your next line, and then you draw your next line, and you draw your next line. So it takes a few times to practice doing this. They only allow you to draw 4 lines. So like if I say, oh no, look. So they want you to kind of play with that. And then question 17 is the last one we're going to look at. So at question 17, you actually are going to be dragging the fractions to where they go on the number line, and that's how they evaluate whether or not you understand that skill, which is fractions on a number line. All right, so those are all the main big questions that we went over during our training. The next thing I'm going to show you is review and test. So we picked some answers for some of them. If you pick an answer, it has a check. It doesn't mean that you got it right. It just means that you answered it. All the white boxes are the questions that we still need to go back and do. So your kids can kind of skip around during the test if they wanted to, and then they can track exactly what other questions they have left. You could have flagged the question, and this is why I say flagging is not that big of a deal, because if you just say, okay, I'm not picking an answer on this, I'm going to come back to it, then you just leave it blank, and then you'll see here on this review and test screen that you haven't done question 13, and so you could just click on question 13 and it would take you right back there. You pick an answer, and we go back to the review and test button, and now 13 has been marked as you've answered it. The kids will have to show the proctors or the teachers who are administering this that they have all check marks before they can push the end test button. And then when they push end test, it will say, hey, are you sure? And then they'll push submit. All right, so the last little piece that was discussed at the parent meeting was Seesaw. So every kid has a different login, and because each teacher adds assignments differently to Seesaw, I'm going to give you an overview of where you can get it, all the resources, but then I'm going to, that's not my login because I'm not at work. It's not going to let me log in. But when you're here, let's see if it'll log me in. When you're on Seesaw, you will log into Seesaw, and when you're in Seesaw, you'll click on Activities. It'll be on the top up here, Activities. If for some reason your kids do not know their username and password, it is their lunch number at DeKalbSchoolsGA.org, and their password is DeKalb03. Again, their lunch number at DeKalb Schools with an S on it, GA.org, and their password is DeKalb03. So once they're on the website, and I'm not going to log on to Seesaw because I don't want to change my Google account, but when they're on there, at the top over here, there will be a button that says Activities, and then it'll pop up almost like a Facebook feed, and they will scroll down, and every teacher should have something in there that says Georgia Milestones Resources. And there we've uploaded the parent guide. We have also uploaded sample questions for you guys to practice besides the online platform. You can also get this information, just Google Georgia Milestones Resources as well, if that's easier than going through Seesaw. So that is all. If you have any questions, please set up a conference with your child's teacher, and that way they can review your latest MAP scores and let you know where your child is projected to score on milestones. That's kind of critical because we also are going to be offering tutorial for those kids who are on the borderlines of the scores, and we want to make sure that you are aware right now so that we can be proactive and make sure that they are bumped over to the safety mark. Well, thanks, guys. Again, if you have any questions, feel free to dojo me or your child's teacher, and we will go from there. Bye.